see you both. Thanks so much for your time.
You too.
Thank you.
Corey, I find it interesting because maybe it depends on the project, but this is a limited series. Before this, there was a novel. So I'm wondering, depending on the project, is there any kind of interest in the novel kind of before going to film the limited series, given that it's not the novel, right? It's a limited series on Prime. Like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, it is different, and my focus was really on the script. There really are very different mediums, and there's some backstory that you can get from the novel, but especially on something like this where it's so plot dependent, and you really have to sort of follow what's happening, and then so the series does diverge from the book, and so you really have to stick to the script.
Oh, absolutely. Lorraine, good to see you. I find it interesting, right? Because, it depends on the project, but I'm a filmmaker as well, so I think about these things. But we might see a scene or two on screen and it's like 2 minutes long runtime, right? But that scene might have taken, a couple of days to film, right? Because it was an extensive scene. When that happens on a project, does that feel like its own mini kind of movie or project when there's a long scene, or does it feel like an overall part of the big project? I'm curious about that.
Every scene that you're in is a world unto itself, and your total focus is in that scene. It's a little bit of a mini play in that way. Even as you're sort of keeping an eye on how and where your character specifically, and sometimes how the scene fits into the whole, how it drives the narrative. I like keeping an eye on how it's driving the narrative, and where I am on the arc of a character, on that spectrum. So yes, it's a world unto itself, but all scenes are little worlds, because the whole idea is to get rid of the objective mind anyway, and you're only here and you're only now, and this is the most important thing that's happening, period. And that's the only thing you're focused on. So to be fully, I always charge myself with how fully present can I be in just this moment. And so I try to do that in life, but certainly in scenes.
Absolutely. And then super quick, Corey, when you because getting back to what you said at the beginning of the interview with like focusing on the page at hand, like the scripts, when you get the scripts, I'm sure there's a lot of questions, right? Is it a balance of questions about your character specifically, and then overall, like the whole story? Like, what are the questions you're like kind of thinking about when you get a script?
Usually it's really just about my character.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe earlier in my career I would sort of get sucked into the whole story, and but that's really not my job. And my job is really to be the world expert on my character, more so even than the writer or the director.
Yeah. I can't wait for people to see The Better Sister on Prime Video. It's a great limited series. Thank you both so much for your time. It was an honor and privilege to speak with both of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.